Okay.
Greetings. Greetings, everyone. I hope all is well. Peace and power. Welcome back. So, today we are getting into the book again Awakening the Master Feminine. We're on chapter 4, and chapter 4 is Money, Power, and Religion. But of course, first, we want to introduce ourselves for the new people. So, I am Nina with Styles by Nina LLC, and I am a creator. I realized like being a creator is okay. I used to fight with it. Entrepreneur just sounded better to me, but it's that's what you're doing is creating, and it's not boxing you into entrepreneurs. Like mentally, physically, spiritually, you're the creator. And so I create products as well as what do we call this? What do we call this on YouTube? Content.
Content. Yeah.
We create content. And so I just want to say, what do you think so far, Jennifer? The book.
About the book,
Mm,
you know, um, I was gonna say, wow, I wish I knew earlier, but that's not necessarily true. I'm learning about all of this at the perfect time,
right,
and I think that this journey has been so interesting. This book is doing really what the title says. It's awakening the master feminine. And I don't know that I realized just how much needed to be awakened within.
right,
And this book is just a portion of that journey, but I'm super grateful for the insight that it's given so far. I feel so seen.
right. So
Definitely seen.
for me, it is really like you saying, I'm being exposed to myself, my ways, the things that I really deemed as normal.
Mhm.
And so the book is really changing up my life. Like literally how I am interacting with males. And I think it's important too because we do have sons. And
Yep.
so this right here will also keep you from turning your son
Mhm.
into something that you are looking around at the world today and looking like, what happened? Like, how did we go wrong? And it is because we thought these things were normal.
Yeah.
Nobody taught us. And so
Yeah.
I do think it's perfect timing too.
Well, we learning today.
Right.
We gonna learn today.
Right. So we're gonna jump right in, y'all. You ready?
Yes. Yes, I'm ready.
Okay.
Let's do it. Oh, I want to. Can I introduce myself real quick? Jenny
Oh,
Marie.
okay.
No, it's fine. It's fine. I forgot to. Jenny Marie, the Abundant Sister. You can follow me on Instagram at the Abundant Sister. I am also a creator. I like that, Nina, a creator. Um, some will call it an entrepreneur, but I will say that awakening as my feminine is awakening, I have been more driven, more purpose driven, and the mission is not even really about the money as much as it is the pursuit of passion,
Right.
right? And living in alignment with gifts, skills, talents, abilities, and we are all creators in some way. And whatever crosses our path that allows us to awaken that creator within, I'm all for it.
Right.
So like this channel, my content is all about abundance and getting out of the scarcity mindset and learning how to unlearn those particular skills that have just been we've been beaten down with. So
Right.
happy to have everyone. Welcome. Thank you for being here with us and growing with us.
Right. And we are loving the feedback too.
Yes.
Keep it coming. Order your book. We all in this together. And we also want to tell you all exactly what it is we do. We don't want to skip over nothing. We both create product. I create personally hair and body butters, and just products for your whole body. I'll say that. With my business, we do cater to the customer, and so every order is unique. We customize to the customer's needs, whether it be skin issues or you just like a certain, you want to smell like a lady, we got you. So each order is different. Also, what is new with my business is that being in astrology has made me feel like I want to switch it up. And so what I'm doing now is following the astrology cycles and creating product each cycle that has the herbs that are related to the astrology. Last cycle was Aquarius, and so what we were doing was using cinnamon. Cinnamon is good for attraction,
Mm.
prosperity, and things like that. And also it helps if you are into manifestation work. And so we want to offer that to you. Also, I haven't even dived into this cycle when Pisces, correct? So correct me if I'm wrong. We're in Pisces season, and so I'm gonna look up, even if it's a tea, I'm
Mm.
gonna try to integrate something in my daily ritual for the cycles, because I think that's important too. Everything is balanced, and that means you're not supposed to be just on one thing, but as the cycles go through and the seasons go through, you want to make sure you're eating fruits and vegetables from the season, and also using herbs from that particular season, because that keeps your immune system strong and not overwhelmed,
Mm.
because different things grow. I know here I'm seeing dandelion outside already, and so that lets me know spring is coming in pretty soon. And when spring comes in, we have a yard full of them. Hopefully, I get something like that. And so, just want to let everybody know I never go into the details of my business. That's poor business. I need to be more open with it is what I do, and I do that because it's really self sabotage. But I don't like being overwhelmed because I do
Mm.
a full plate. And so I tend to try to play it down. And so I'm trying to get out of there. So thank y'all for listening. Do you want to go into detail about what it is that you do as well?
Um, wow. So I also create skincare, hair care products, all natural, raw, organic ingredients. And it's really about they're really essence driven. So no fragrance smells the same on an individual person. And really, my brand and products are about embracing that essence and just smelling your best and feeling your most confident, natural, moisturized self. You
Right.
can follow my business page on Instagram at Soul Sister Beauty, SISTAR. Website is soulsisterbeauty.com. And check me out.
And do
Thank
you
you.
have your link available right now to drop in the chat?
Yeah. Yeah. Let me add that.
And I'm gonna drop my link tree in the chat as well. But yeah, so we are about to dive in again to chapter 4. And chapter 4 is money, power, and religion.
All right.
All right, so I'm sorry, I'm getting my link. Chapter 4. Humans are born with the elemental natures of masculine and feminine. If these natal elemental potentials are cultivated into the actual adult personality of men and women, they will naturally come together in relationships that are guaranteed to produce positive outcomes. We are born with what we need. It is only necessary to cultivate what is already naturally there. Nothing else needs to be added to a recipe that is already perfect. When we add artificial attributes to the male or female personality that hinder or conflict with the natural one, it destroys the harmony between the sexes. It upsets the energy equation. It is the dynamic surrounding money, power, and religion that is behind the institutions which introduce the artificial attributes into the character of men and women. I'm sorry, let me get me a book something. Men and women. Okay. A herd mentality comes into being in which what is considered normal is not natural. Therefore, the men and women who choose to conform to the herd mentality cannot and do not properly cultivate their natural and natal attributes of feminine and masculine. The negative impact of this is most evident during the critical teenage years. As a result, during the formative years, when girls are developing into women, there is a tendency for her natural development to be stunted, and in the place of a natural feminine persona, she develops a counterfeit persona instead. The outcome of all this is the creation of masses of adult women who are underdeveloped in such a way that they are not fully capable of conducting a marriage, a pregnancy, a cohesive family, a cohesive community, or a sustainable economy. Add to this the equally dysfunctional corresponding males, and we have what we have in our current social landscape. That is so true.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So we are on money. The influence of money is exerted through the commercial sector, acting through corporate entities. Female sexual traits are redefined from natural male partnership to add value to commercial products. Sex is used to sell things. To sell the maximum amount, women and men are encouraged to be self centered. They are encouraged to buy and consume at rates that far exceed their needs, their means, or their ability to sustain such levels. In the face of this, society has become so driven by the needs of ever more income and even more growth that now it is almost impossible to survive without conforming. You must live to pay tens of thousands of dollars each year in taxes. To have shelter, you must pay each month, whether a 30-year mortgage or rent. To eat, you pay each monthly cycle to purchase food from a distribution point. Food is no longer available from the environment anymore. It has intentionally been removed and is now against the law to acquire food naturally without a permit. Most people are required to drive a car to survive. To conform, one has to buy electricity. Even things such as cell phones are almost a necessity now because so many people have them. You must have a credit rating to do many things that have nothing to do with credit, such as get a job. You must use a credit card to do many things. This dynamic of money acts to hinder natural female development. And so what this is making me think about is how right now we are in the age of Aquarius, which is the digital age. And so we are going from credit cards to just digital wallets. And in this book he's saying that it's hindering the natural female development. So do you think that's still related to the technology?
With it hindering, Female development. I don't know. I don't know. I
The
think that it
dynamic.
hinders development as a whole.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I don't know. I'm just thinking like how there are so many factors that play into that hindrance, right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't
That's
know.
true.
That's something to think about.
Yeah, that was our second time reading it, but I really got it that time, and so um, let's move on. Religion, religious practice, and religious beliefs are designed with good intentions, but 99% of the time, the attempts by religious institutions to shape behavior to conform to a divine ideal have just the opposite effect. Most past spiritual masters follow the same motive. The holy man presents that a man changes his lifestyle or his style of life, and then the masters show the example of this evolution in the model of their own life. I'm going to say that again. It's saying the holy man presents a system of evolution. It is through the process of attaining this evolution that a man changes his style of life. The masters show the example of this evolution in the model of their own life. In following the system of evolution, the common man can duplicate in his or her life the evolution that the master had attained. You rarely see these holy men judging people as being right or wrong. They are invested in getting people to evolve. The holy men promote a system, not a doctrine. Religions are based on doctrine, and this is the problem. They are founded based on a system of evolution and then somehow transform into a doctrine. When they do this, they lose their effectiveness at influencing behavior. It is the followers of these holy men who form and promote the doctrines, and thus religions are doomed to fail in this regard because, by definition, they are based on the premise that God is an external thing, something that is apart from us or outside and apart from us. So I'm going to read that again. It says that it is the followers of these holy men who form and promote the doctrines, and thus religions are doomed to fail in this regard because, by definition, they are based on the premise that God is an external thing, something outside and apart from us. Yeah, you have to say this in order to promote a belief system based on a doctrine. If you agree with the original masters and say that God is a part of us and we are not separate from God, then you have a system of evolution. This is much harder to do, for you have to walk the walk as well as talk the talk. The clergy finds this difficult to do consistently. It is one thing to say you qualify to be a Christian because you follow the doctrine. It is quite another to say you are a Christian because you have duplicated the feats and evolution of Jesus in your own life. This would mean that modern Christians will have to equal the energy healing feats of the founder. It is one thing to say you are a follower of Islam because you follow the doctrine of the prophet, but it is quite another thing to be evolved to the point that you can go into a cave and commune with angels at will. They talk the talk, but the proof comes in walking the walk. It is impossible to separate from the things, it is impossible to separate God from the things that he, she, it created. It is equally ridiculous to try to support any doctrine that separates mankind from God. But almost every secular religion attempts to do this, all with the same degree of failure. Thus, they all follow the same pattern. The master leaves behind the system of evolution and the proof that it could be attained in the example of his life. Wow. Okay, so it says the master leaves behind the system of evolution and the proof that it could be attained in the example of his life. In the immediate generations to follow, the disciples follow the system and evolve. Then, in a few generations, these followers who fail for whatever reason to achieve the desired result begin the process of converting the system into a static doctrine. Over the years, the doctrine is modified to suit the times, but the people following it stop the pattern of evolution. Inevitably, the doctrine is reduced to a collection of false belief systems, which has the exact opposite result than what was intended. There are hundreds of forms of Buddhism, Christianity, Islam, Hinduism, and etc., each one operating under the arrogant and imperial assumption that somehow it is the one true authentic form. This is not to say that many individuals following a faith do not indeed lead a life of service and value. There can be no doubt of this truth, but the level of delusional thinking is incredible. That somehow a version of a religion created 1,000 years after the fact could somehow be more authentic than the system set forth by the master himself who brought the original version to earth. To regulate thinking, these institutions use fear, guilt, sin, and isolationist mentality. Such false beliefs obstruct and sabotage a female's natural feminine development and pervert her sexual worldview. They act mainly to divide a woman from her man in the same way that religions divide the nations apart and bring about divisions between parent and child, sister and brother. The human spirit has three major divisions of evolution. These stages of evolution can be measured against very concrete standards. One is divine man, two is superior man, three is inferior man. So until a human reaches the third and highest stage of evolution, the mind is not capable of even conception of divinity. In the states of evolution inferior to this, consciousness, perception, and reason is flawed, imperfect, and relative. Only after reaching the third tier is the understanding absolute and complete. It is it is a rare person who gets to this place. Perhaps only one person in every 100 million will reach this point. Thus, the concept of an absolute, unconditional, and fixed religious doctrine is an illusion. It is not possible to put such a thing in writing, for the people it would be intended for would, by definition, be incapable of comprehending it. Claims to the contrary are fraudulent. Religions have a place in culture. I am not against any religion. There is much good there. But the negative influence a doctrine based belief system, faith based, has on the development of the modern woman must be considered. And I'm gonna break and sip me some water. Oh yeah. Yeah, and a lot of people do believe that God is apart from them. I know with us we are teaching I see that God is not outside of you. Um he was saying something, I guess he was hearing his little friend talk about the most high. That's how I refer to God. And he was saying in the sky. And I
Mm,
was telling him, that's not us. Like it is us that he is inside of us. He's not apart from us.
mm-hmm,
And so we are co-creators. And also when you read the Kabbalion, which I'm going to try to upload on YouTube, when you read the Kabbalion forward and backward and forward again, you really get it because it teaches that, and they also refer to that as the masters. The one that masters his emotions becomes the master. You're not swayed by your emotions all the time, and also that there is no good and bad. There's just opposite ends of the pole, and so whatever vibration or energy level you're exuding, that will be attracted back to you. And it reminded me of yesterday. We were riding and we're in a hood, right? I gotta find the hood somewhere. And my, I'll say the passenger in the car is like, "Are we safe?" And I'm like, I don't attract energy that's not safe, you know?
Mm,
When I'm out in the world, I'm making my way. There's nothing that can come into my space that's gonna knock me off my square. And
mm-hmm.
so I was trying to explain it the best I could, but I was just also letting them know like you attract that energy to yourself. Especially if that's what you're constantly thinking about when you're moving out in the world. Like focus on your goals and becoming that co-creator, that God. And so yeah. What do you think about that, Jennifer?
Yeah, I definitely agree. I think that growing up in the church as a child, I definitely had a thought and belief that God was external, and it wasn't until much later in adulthood that I was able to I I felt like I was always seeking a better relationship with God.
Mm-hmm.
And it wasn't until I started acknowledging that God was within that I was able to develop, um, just developing a better relationship with myself, um, then put me in a better relationship with God because I was
Right.
seeing God within myself. Um, and that produced just, an abundance of positive, um, or change life changing results, I'll
Right.
say, in
Right.
terms of my connection with God, my belief system, understanding and knowing that I'm protected at all times. I think that prior to that, there was always just like a worry and a fear, and as a result, an immobilization from all of that. So,
Right. Right. And I do remember being in the church, Christian, non-denominational, we was everything, Baptist. Um, always feeling like I wasn't good enough
mhm.
because of the sin. Yeah,
Yep.
that's
Yep.
crazy. I used to stay getting baptized and stay at the altars. I bet people thought, what has she done? And she's up there. And it's like you never feel clean.
Yeah.
And that is fear based. And so, yeah. All right. So we are going to get into power. Every living thing needs and desires power. Without power, an organism stops being alive. The human desire for power is not only natural but essential to life. But power can corrupt. Then, how does a superior man define the unnatural application of power? The lion hunts down the wild pig in the jungle and kills it. It is violence. The pig is killed. Is it improper? Is this a violation? No, it's natural. A hawk kills and eats a snake. This is natural. Nature is a delicate wheel, a delicate balance. There's an old African saying that nothing lives unless something dies. It speaks to the balance in nature. When power supports the balance in nature, the cycle, the natural cycle, then it is improper. Then it is proper. Y'all, let me get my own bookmark thing. The words are just jumping on top of each other. Okay. There is an old African saying that nothing lives unless something dies. It speaks to the balance in nature. When power supports the balance in nature, the natural cycle, then it is proper. When power destroys this balance, creates misalignment, breaks the cycle, or prevents any living thing from living in the manner in which it was designed, this is a violation. a corruption. Much of the political power men and women crave today is imperial in nature. It assumes the governing group has a better knowledge of how people should live than the group which is governed, as it assumes that the governing body has the right to enforce its dictates on others. Because this is often not true, we find one group imposing conditions on another that clearly interferes with the natural personal development. The denial of women's right to vote is an example. Slavery is another. But most of the time, it is something that seems innocent, but in fact is often very harmful. Such things as dress codes built. Give me a minute. My apologies. Okay. So, something that seems so innocent, but in fact is often very harmful. Such things as dress codes, building codes, styles, marriage laws, divorce laws, the regulation of education, interference by the state in domestic and family matters, welfare laws, and such things which hinder human spiritual development most. These laws and codes force a herd mentality. They prevent people from the pursuit of a natural and holistic lifestyle. They are not necessary for society to have order, nor do they contribute to any sustainable progress. For to be sustainable, people must do things of their own free will. Also, the existence of so much regulation, law, and codes means that punishments need to be handed out for those who break the rules. So today, millions are locked down in prisons. Millions are trapped in a welfare maze. The state requires a marriage license and forces the voice of the union if either party becomes irritated. Schools, offices, and businesses require a dress code. If a family wants to feng shui their house, the county permit office will not allow it. The abuse of power, overregulation, interference in the course of life, and imposition into individual sovereignty takes a massive toll on people today. They cannot they cannot develop naturally under so a massive burden. To cope or compensate, women tend to become more yang, more masculine, more rigid, and more aggressive. Finally, we have the herd mentality. It is not unique to modern society. The herd people are most of us. They are the majority, the masses. They are the people who live their life as one constant reaction to the action set in motion by the creative people and the elite aristocracy. Aristocracy. How do I pronounce it again?
Aristocracy. Oh,
Okay, one more time, Jennifer.
aristocracy.
Aristocracy. We practice
Mhm.
this, y'all. Aristocracy. Okay. The elite aristocracy. Okay, one more time.
Aristocracies.
Aristocracies and
Mhm.
aristocracy. The elite aristocracies, the elite, the elite aristocracies are the fence builders of life. They erect all these social boundaries that keep the herd people from really living. The creative people are always trying to set the herd people free. The elite aristocracy
Mhm.
is the system, the man, the conspiracy, the power behind governments. They do not run the world, but they are constantly engaged in steering it in certain directions and keeping men and women within certain boundaries. Now, this is a major impediment to evolution. The elite aristocrat, y'all, I struggle with this word and I have no shame.
Right. Where the
Or
aristocracies.
the elite aristocracies are parasites, and the masses are their hosts. It is because the masses are so greedy for money, hungry for power, and satisfied with religion instead of evolution that the parasites can control them. It is like parasites and viruses inside the human body. They focus their attack on tissues that are weak. Now, when a young girl approaches the point of in the life cycle of life, um, now when the young girl approaches the point in the cycle of life, her master feminine faculty awakens and start to bring her feminine attributes online. This is called puberty. There are four archetypes of this feminine energy. Archetype number 5, the moon, which is the maternal instinct. Number 6 is the seated hawk, which is the right brain consciousness. The elegant rose, which is sensory pleasure. And the treasure chest, harvesting, nesting, and gathering. All right. So, as soon as she starts her development process to become a woman, the forces in society of money, political power, religious beliefs, and the peer pressure to conform to the herd mentality rushes in to shut her down. And for 90% of our girls, these forces are too strong for her to resist. For her parents, the school system, her peers, her church, and the government are the main agencies acting to shut her down. Even the daughters of the elite aristocracy are not immune. At first, the young girls fight bravely to remain free, sovereign, and creative. They rebel against their parents and society out of an instinct, but this does not prevail. In 90% of them, the master feminine faculty eventually shuts down. Less than 10% of females keep their masculine feminine faculty awake into adulthood. In the rest, it goes into remission and becomes dormant. But before the master feminine faculty is shut down, it does bring some aspect of the four archetypes of her feminine energy online. In most, one archetype is dominant. And so most females enter adulthood with only a partial development of their womanly personality and attributes. They are in effect impaired and they enter into adulthood with a disposition to rely on one type of feminine energy instead of having the use of all four, as they should. Between the ages of 21 and 25, females enter a zone in which their worldview is dominated by one of four archetypes. The elegant rose. They are driven by a worldview defined by pleasure and sensory experience. Life to them is like a game show. They want to have fun and be festive. They are concerned with such things as dress, appearance, hair, etc. The treasure test, the treasure chest. They are driven by a worldview defined by money and status. Life to them is like a treasure hunt. They collect information and seek higher education. The career is important, social standing is important, and they watch the news and want to know more than their peers. The moon. They are driven by a worldview defined by feelings and emotions. They are humanitarians. They care about people. They earnestly desire to become mothers. They are concerned and sometimes obsessed with security issues. The seated hawk. They are driven by a worldview defined by control. Life to them is a contest or race. They seek competition. They view peers and even males as adversaries. They seek some occupation or avenue which gives them an advantage over other women. They desire to be the queen bee. In all of these four profiles, we see the central theme of dysfunction through which the main problems in their life will come, especially problems in the relationships. Okay, let me sip some water, y'all. Thank you for the reading tip. I notice when I take my time, I'm not feeling like my throat chakra is irritated. I don't know why I rush through, and then I'm sometimes I forget to even breathe, and so it's crazy. All right, so the awakening exercise two. The relationship coach works with each member of the circle to discover which profile fits a particular woman. There are other possible options since women have more than one archetype active. When a woman has more than one archetype active, then the worldviews above need to be modified. Each female member of the circle should have a basic understanding of their feminine energy. The men have a different workbook but similar information. In the second exercise or session, the group will discuss the way men and women broadcast energy to each other. Each member of the group takes a turn and describes their broadcast and the typical broadcast of the members of the opposite sex they have encountered recently. Each woman is attracting a certain type of man to her based on her broadcast. Each woman is attracting a certain type of relationship situation to her based on her broadcast. In this exercise, the men need to gain a better understanding of how women perceive their broadcast and why it draws a certain type of situation to them. And the women need to gain a better understanding of how men perceive their broadcast and why it draws a certain type of situation to them. The table on the next page shows the positive and negative broadcast of each archetype of the feminine energy. When during puberty, a woman starts to bring the elegant rose archetype online. She then begins to change her broadcast to males. She broadcasts the positive version of this archetype, which says, I am pleasing. Look at this good stuff. I am ripe fruit waiting to be picked. Pleasure me. Please be pleased by me, I'll say. But other women who have not brought this archetype online will continue to broadcast the negative version of this energy. I'm gonna say that again. So if a male and a woman, y'all both are broadcasting a certain energy outward, and so you're attracting to yourself. So it's saying that the female, she broadcasts a positive version of this archetype, which says, I am pleasing, look at this good stuff, I am ripe fruit waiting to be picked, pleasure me, be pleased by me. But the other women who have not brought this archetype online, they will continue to broadcast the negative version of this energy. So women who came into adulthood with one of the other three energies, which are the hawk, the moon, or the treasure chest, then they began their adult lives with a negative pleasure broadcast. So if you came online with anything other than that moon, no, not the moon, the treasure chest, right?
And this particular example is talking about the elegant rose.
Okay, okay, okay. So if you came
Mhm.
online with the elegant rose, then you sending out that broadcast. But the women who do not come online, go into adulthood with the elegant rose, which these groups are the hawk, the moon, or the treasure chest, then you begin your adult life in a negative broadcast. That's like most of the people that I know. It's so deep.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, the chart. So the chart is on screen, y'all. The moon, a positive broadcast would be I offer you my nurturing. I want to give what you need. I submit to you. Protect me. Be strong for me. The negative broadcast would be I will not submit to you. I will not nurture you. I will attempt to undermine your power. I feel insecure. The seated hawk, the positive broadcast will be I intuit the right plan. Set my plan into motion. The negative broadcast of the seated hawk will be I have no domestic plan for the community, only my own selfish agenda. The elegant rose positive broadcast will be I am pleasing. Look at this good stuff. I am ripe fruit waiting to be picked. Pleasure me. Be pleased by me. The negative broadcast will be I do not value men. I am hard to please. Yes, I attract and entice, but I will not please you unless you pay me. The treasure chest. The positive broadcast will be I harvest the abundance through one common unity. Hunt, gather, and build with me. The negative broadcast for the treasure chest would be I believe in scarcity. And y'all, I manifest scarcity. I will not unite with others, and I am not in harmony with you. Now, let us say a female came into adulthood with the moon energy dominant. She would then be broadcasting the positive version of this archetype, which says, I offer you my nurturing. I want to give what you need. I submit to you. Protect me. Be strong. Be strong for me. So if the female came into adulthood with the moon energy dominant, what she will be broadcasting is out to attract a protector, somebody being strong for her and her offering her nurturing to that person. Now, note that all women who enter adulthood with one of the other three archetypes dominant will not be making this podcast, but will be broadcasting the negative version instead. The positive moon broadcast is a very powerful thing, and men respond to it strongly. If a woman does not have a positive moon broadcast, she will have problems with many men. This is the case even for attractive women. They may get his attention at first, but they have trouble closing the deal. The failure of so many women to get men to commit to marriage is directly associated with this broadcast. So, the majority of the women entering adulthood and seeking marriage are, in fact, broadcasting a negative moon energy that repels male commitment. It is an energy thing and it's subliminal. I am confident that women who participate in an awakening circle will take part in one of the most awesome and profound series of discussions of their life. As some women get older, they evolve and bring other elements of their feminine energy online. We should encourage this as much as possible. The auric field. In the language of energy, problems are described as blocks, choke points, and breaks. These blocks choke points, and breaks can be seen in the human auric field. In regards to her sex life, these energy issues manifest as orgasmic issues, arousal issues, libido problems, toxic womb syndrome, poor reproductive health, and most of all relationship issues. As we have said, the negative social dynamics of power, money, religion, and the herd mentality combine to infuse artificial traits into the female personality. The natural traits of masculine and feminine cause men and women to naturally come together in relationships that are guaranteed to produce positive outcomes. We are born with what we need. When we add artificial attributes to the male or female personality, this destroys the harmony between the sexes. And so, when the master feminine faculty shuts down prematurely after puberty, the woman often enters adulthood with a counterfeit personality. The scarcity model. The scarcity model is a political and economic model of internal social oppression. A division is intentionally created within a society in which one group is empowered at the expense of a second group which is oppressed. It is the creation of economic classes. The difference in status and power between the groups is created as the first group has a parasitic relationship to the second group. The first group, the parasites, does not produce anything but feeds off the work and production of the second group. The first group is usually a small group who consider themselves to be an elite aristocracy. Is that right? Aristocracy.
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 Mm.
Okay. The second group, the masses, is usually larger with less access to information and held in submission by a central false belief. This false belief may be religion, patriotic ideal, fear of the police, racial beliefs, etc. The scarcity model is the opposite life model to the natural model. Nature designed life on earth based on a model of abundance. There is an abundance of air, food, minerals, water, and resources to sustain life. To sustain life. There are enough people that everyone can have an attractive, healthy, loving mate. Scarcity must be created by man. It does not exist naturally. The scarcity model takes away the abundance of the masses and concentrates this wealth in the hands of a small percentage.
And you know what? Can I stop you really quickly there? Because
Please.
that's one thing that I often heard about how it's not enough people, in the world for everyone to find their perfect person. Like there's not enough men to go around. There's not enough women around. Um, and that's kind of like been the adopted belief, and it's scarcity. It's a
Mm,
scarcity mindset. I thought that was interesting.
okay. So, do you want to pick up at the scarcity model? I'm sorry, I overread. I was in flow.
Huh? You
I
said
said,
after scarcity?
well, you can start at scarcity. I forgot to stop.
Oh,
The chart threw me off.
okay.
Okay.
Let me find out where you left. Okay, so the scarcity model takes away the abundance of the masses. Okay. Um, sure.
Oh, do you want me to finish it?
You want to finish your paragraph? I'll pick up after this paragraph.
Okay. The elite have too much more than they can possibly use. The masses do not have enough to get by. The elite rich do not refuse to share with the masses because they need the wealth. No, the elite The elite denied the masses a fair share so as to keep them enslaved to the arrangement. Without ideas and the income, the masses never find the time or concentrate enough resources to break free. And right here, what it makes me think about is people thinking that outside of their jobs, that they won't survive just on using their creativity alone. And that is just not true. That's you creating an environment mentally of oppression. It's like the universe makes a way. And so when you tap into that creativity, you are in another vibration and you attract to yourself abundance.
Mhm.
And so
Mhm.
yeah, it's hard to shift over, but I think about that all the time. Like a lot of people going out and being forced to conform. We talked about that earlier. And what do you think about that?
Yeah, I mean, I agree. Like, so, like, just going back in with the whole scarcity model, and then to touch back on where you were talking about money, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think that where money impedes on, the feminine faculty and how that is um, negatively or harmfully affecting us is like some things that I always think about is like we're always or now for me, I'll speak me. It's like about getting that bag, having money for myself, not necessarily needing anybody for anything, being able to get my own. So much that I've conditioned myself that that's not something that I've needed, felt the need or desire to have from a partner. And I often wonder that if I allowed that, and I don't know, is that a scarcity mindset? Is that a scarcity mindset? Maybe it is. Maybe it's thinking like, I don't know. It could be a couple of things. Maybe feeling like, I don't know, maybe I won't be able to attract somebody who can bring, I don't, equally yoked. That was something that was very common in conversations, especially in terms of choosing a partner. Like, um, but that whole equally yoked thing always came down to finance. It wasn't really about mindset, that building thing. It was really about what do they bring to the table financially. And I think that can be harmful. You know what I mean? Because at the end of the day, you really, two people are always going to be better than one in terms of building, right? Many hands make light work. So, yeah, I think it all just kind of comes down to um putting it, ingraining it in our minds that there's not enough of whatever. There's not enough food. There's not enough um, good men or good women.
Right,
There's not enough of this or there's not enough of that. So when you get it, hang on to it and don't share it, because there's not enough of it.
right. And we hold on tight, and that's why I tell people like, even in marriage, relationship, you're not that person's property. Like
Yeah.
you don't cut off all your friends and you like that doesn't work that way. That
Yeah.
creates like I said, a scarcity model, and then also me and my C's friend's mom, we were talking yesterday about men in the relationships, and so we promote that there's not enough good men, but when we do have good men, we are mistreating them and beating them down with our words and
Mhm.
whatever society has installed. Meant we're leashing instead of nurturing them, speaking to
Mhm.
them with words of kindness. And so that has come up a couple of times this month or in the past 30 days, I'll say, just being mindful of my words. And
Mm.
yeah,
Mhm.
sometimes I'm in such a rah rah state that I don't care, but then when you reading this book, we know that's not working, because then when we're running them out of the community, or when they're not feeling supported, that creates a scarcity model for everyone,
Yeah.
and so we're affecting each other in that way.
Yeah. Yeah. And having a son as well, like I mean, even before having my son, but I would never want to make any man feel emasculated. So I'm very, very mindful of that. I do my best to just, I can't even, like that's very important to never put myself or another brother in a situation that makes him feel like I'm trying to belittle him or
Mm-hmm.
emasculate him, you know?
Yeah, yeah, that's
Mhm.
deep. Well, me and you even discussed that, and you brought it to my awareness. It is something that we have to talk about and also correct. And I appreciate you for saying something, because
Mm.
sometimes when you build a new relationships, people don't feel comfortable to say, that was nonsense. That ain't nonsense. That ain't it. I can't get on board. We participate, and then when that happens, there's no thought about it. And for
Mhm.
me, I appreciate you for planting that seed, because at that point, if you do feel like you can't resist that, then you might not need to be in communication with that person, whoever the
Mhm.
other partner. It goes both ways. But just being mindful of your words, being a little more mindful, and I appreciate you that. I appreciate
Well, thank you. Thank you for just the invitation to give some perspective. So thank you.
you. Oh,
Yeah, I mean, this is, and that I think we read that in chapter 1 about how, we need each other to pull each other up. We as women, it's like, if you're my sister, and you're my friend, tell me if you feel like that there's something I'm out of order or I'm out of alignment.
mm-hmm.
You're not my friend if you let me continue on.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Mhm.
Even and I'm a person personally, I resonate with my shadow self all too much. Most of the shadow is just comfortable for me. Other people try to hide that aspect of themselves, and that has never been me. And so I'm learning, yeah, somebody planting a seed shines light on that seed, and that also helps me in my growth process. Because when
Yeah.
we talked, I thought about it for that whole day. I process later. Even if I'm emotional in that moment, I'm gonna unpack what was said later. And
Mhm.
so, like I said, I appreciate that. It makes me look at me. But yeah, okay,
Okay. Okay. So I'll pick up here.
okay.
Okay. There is also a psychological component to the scarcity model. For the elite parasites fix the situation such that the masses have so little power and control that the masses must look to the aristocracy for the means of their very survival. Thus, the members of the elite aristocracy set themselves up as demigods, more than human. They encourage the masses to worship them and bow down to them. This is the basis for all aristocracies. After several generations, the belief of the masses in the superior nature of the elite keeps them in check and submission as much as any economic plan. The second group is the masses, the people who are being violated and who allow this violation because of their false beliefs. Their abundance is taken away even as soon as they grow, manufacture, make, or design it. A nation or religion or trade house that operates based on the scarcity model has a definite advantage over a group that operates naturally. They can develop and deploy a military power quicker and easier. They can finance an economic project quicker and easier. So often in history, a nation or group decides that abundance is not enough. They decide that the abundance around them is inadequate. Their appetite becomes artificially enlarged. They not only desire what is already available to them, but they also demand to have everyone else's share. They wish to oppress and control the resources and abundance set aside for others. Thus, they become willing to cross the natural boundaries and violate others. In the scarcity model, there is usually some military power in play associated with a false belief system that prevents rebellion and encourages the masses to conform. A government is set up to regulate the masses, but not the elite. You take all rights away from the people through laws. You ration food and goods, spread sickness, poverty, and force people into long hours of labor to take away their most precious commodity, time. We find some system of taxation in all cases of the scarcity model. All nations, religions, societies, and social movements start out as a rebellion against the scarcity model. But in a few generations, say 50 years or more, almost all nations, religions, and social movements make a dramatic shift to incorporate the scarcity model. There are a few exceptions. It seems this dynamic applies all over the world and has existed down through all of time back to the beginning. The founding fathers started the United States on a platform of human rights and as a rebellion against tyranny, taxation, and British injustice. And in the early 1800s, the country began to switch over to the scarcity model and completed the transition in the late 1800s. We see that after the shift was complete, the country began to impose the personal income tax, something the founding fathers rebelled against. Females also apply this scarcity model in their relations with males. In the United States, the shift to the scarcity model by the females is marked by the women's suffrage movement and the drive to secure the right to vote. Females in every society from the beginning of time have also followed, in a general way, the dynamic of the scarcity model. Once the society in general begins to shift from a natural model of society to the scarcity model, the women in that society began a parallel shift as well. Their selection criterion for a male partner starts to develop. It takes on a financial component. Their worldview toward males gradually shifts, for women have something that men do not. They have a vagina. And they discover that while men need money or social status to transfer from the masses to the elite, a woman can sometimes accomplish an upgrade in her social station just through her sexual charms. It is called the art of acculturated prostitution, and women have mastered this art from all time. The same patterns and the same dynamic can be clearly and definitively charted for any society, nation, religion, or ethnic group. Once the females in a society shift over to the scarcity model of relationships, a fundamental change in the family and community occurs. In our current situation as an empire of consumption, it is an advanced scarcity model. The Industrial Revolution and the Technical Revolution have created such vast hordes of abundance that the elite are hard-pressed to keep the masses from getting their hands on some of it. They do not want too many people crossing the boundary from the middle class to the rich, so consumption is ramped up to extremely unnatural levels. Prices are increased, credit is encouraged so that people will consume to the maximum, and even this is not enough. So every 10 years or so, a war must be started just to waste some of the abundance and destroy some infrastructure so that the masses do not make too much progress. People are taxed over 50% to keep them poor. The purpose of this taxation and government spending is not to support a government, for a government could be maintained with 2% of this amount. The true purpose is to keep the funds from the masses so that they will not become the elite. Most of this tax money is wasted. Females naturally apply the scarcity model to sexual pleasure. It is a natural progression that if all goods and services, all social prestige, in other words, all things of value, by definition, should also be things that are scarce, that is, hard to come by, then so should her sexual favors. So women create an artificial scarcity of sexual pleasure for the purpose of raising the commercial value of sex. The most attractive and feminine women reserve themselves only for those who are wealthy and part of the elite class. A few women may fall in love, but the vast majority of women who have the option, the most attractive women, use their sex as a bargaining chip to gain what they want out of life. Her femininity is destroyed in the process, of course, and this upsets the social ecosystem and throws the male into discord. The master feminine faculty is shut down. Relationship harmony is secondary to political position. The dichotomy is this: the scarcity model gives definite advantages in the short term, but eventually it will lead to the decline and the demise of the group. They must decline after embracing the scarcity model because it is unnatural. The elite aristocracy always undermines any real evolution because of the God complex that they embrace. And the Amazon women who apply the scarcity model to sexual pleasure cause the exact opposite outcome to the one they intend. Yes, it gives them some social leverage when they're young, but it blocks any real opportunity for them to achieve true sexual pleasure. Not only this, but as they age, they lose out to the younger women who now look better and have the same cutthroat view toward them as they used to have. And in each generation, the whole social landscape declines and decays. The commercial sector. American values are now closely tied to the acquisition of material things. Thus, a critical vehicle for affirming sexual worth and self-esteem is income potential. Women often choose mates based on income potential over sexual compatibility or personality. Society programs women, and women program themselves to obtain pleasure by seeking males who rank high according to social status. While a woman may be consciously aware that the connection between money, status, and sexual pleasure is uncertain, that does not stop her from being governed by the subliminal programs. Of course, her behavior has the direct impact of inhibiting her sexual pleasure and the pleasure of males. This breeds acculturated prostitution. This motive adds artificial components to the selection criteria women use to rank men. Thus, the select and non-select categories of men have no natural sexual relevance. This motive allows the creation of a retail empire built around an artificial sense of self-importance. This empire sells hair products, attire, facial creams, cars, skin products, wigs, shoes, and handbags that are thought to enhance a woman's self-worth directly and her sexual worth indirectly. But they do neither. It is an illusion. In all cases, this motive provides no value to the woman of any kind. Her assignment of value is purely artificial and is completely a self-deception. In all cases, the motive adds value only to the corporate and business entities that sell the products, period. But women have assigned value to these things. The business community did not create these concepts, women did. I'm not saying that hair care products are bad, they have a place. What I am saying is that women have placed abnormal sexual value on hair care products and such retail items, and this assignment is not only inaccurate, but destructive. The thought police. It is through belief systems that people are enslaved. There is the truth, and then there are belief systems. The truth is always there, obvious and self evident, but it is hard to comprehend it until the spirit evolves enough to ignore the exterior illusions and turn inward onto the higher self. Until people reach such a state of wisdom, they are vulnerable to beliefs. There is no blame in this. Thus, there is always a large segment of humanity seeking the right way, but looking to others to show them. Enter then the thought police, the regulators of what we believe. Based on rigid doctrines, institutions create, based on rigid doctrines, institutions create religious dogma. Morale dictates education systems and political laws geared to enforce particular belief systems. These are used to regulate the actions of people to the benefit of special interests. Today, we find that sexual activity and domestic life is highly regulated. The state requires a license for people to marry, and the same state will force a legal divorce if one party requests same. Like property, the state will grant custody of children. Religious institutions often regulate or influence dress codes. Religious institutions often prohibit members from marrying someone who is not part of the same faith. The state and religious institutions even believe that they have the right to regulate a woman's body. They believe they should regulate such things as abortion, adoption, the age of consent, the manner in which a woman has sex. In most patriarchal societies, including most cultures in Europe, Asia, and America, the female gender is thought to be inferior to the male gender. It is a common belief in these cultures that the female role is to serve the males. Her rights to own property, travel freely, trade, and vote are inferior to that of males. Even in America, women were denied the right to vote until just a few decades ago. In other words, the state and religions operate on the belief system that only those in a position of power can know truth, and the woman cannot find her own truth. The forces of the commercial sector, the thought police, and the urban streets are always acting to inhibit the woman's expression of her natural sexuality and realization of pleasure. But she must consent for this to be so. She cannot be forced to conform. We live in a society that is very much against any real and full experience of sexual pleasure, but we can choose to follow a different path. The machine culture is based on a model of scarcity that is anti-sexual. Each day, each woman makes a choice to follow the machine culture or follow the natural path. Abundance. There is no excuse for the modern woman to be complaining about a man. Mother Nature has given her plenty of men to have, hold, and enjoy. And Mother Nature has endowed her with the power to make them into whatever she wishes. But most westernized women are in the business of giving good men away in exchange for money, power, and religion. And these women will not get good men back until they realize who they really are and what the source of their real power and pleasure is. Nature is a model of abundance. Scarcity is created by man. We chase after money, power, and religion because society has convinced us that these things are superior to the abundance right in front of us. Women are constantly throwing perfectly good men away because society instills criteria in them which are artificial. These men are not smart enough, good looking enough, sexy enough, rich enough, cool enough, or spiritual enough. These criteria come from the lure of money, power, and religion. And yet, women ignore the fact that they have an infinite power to reshape and recast males into anything women want them to be. Rather than make the investment, some women treat men like disposable toys. Mankind is created in the image of God. Man is indeed a prototype of the Creator, endowed with the power to shape and change the future reality. The law of manifestation is the outward statement of this manifest truth. Our individual future reality is constantly being influenced by the thoughts and visions that we energize today. We project what we believe into the elemental matrix, and it gradually becomes so. There is no aspect of human nature that more symbolizes mankind's creative divinity than the female womb. The woman is the seat of the creative power, the throne of the kingdom, with power to mold and influence the future nature of the men in her life in the most substantial way. She is a potential goddess. That is who she is. And until she realizes who she really is and really takes responsibility for that, she will not get back any of the good men she has given away. Now,
It's like, dang. Hmm.
I don't know what y'all think. How many good men you give away, Nina?
Girl, I'm putting egg on your face, honey. I've given away a lot of good men. Um, I have, and
Look.
I I've given them away, but not just that. Probably damaged a few too.
Mm,
Okay. And so, what do you think about the? Because I wouldn't consider if I feel like a part of me. This might be masculine, but I just don't feel like it's so much is given away because if I wasn't ready at that time, to recognize that,
yeah,
then maybe it would cause more damage, to keep them around. What do you think?
yeah. I would say so the giving away doesn't resonate, but I will say that I probably um passed up
Mm-hmm.
or
Mm-hmm.
wasn't checking for or
Mm-hmm.
wasn't really seeing. I wasn't catching the vibrations that I probably could have been
Right.
back in the day because I was just, you know, I was which one would I say I was? Somewhere between treasure chest and seated hawk in that 21 to 25. I was really about my career. I was about, status, climbing this corporate ladder, being a boss type thing. And I wasn't really interested in conforming or submitting or doing any of that. I was, the moon, I would say I probably maybe came online with the moon and it's somewhere, you know, the way that I understood this in this chapter that you can come online with your moon fully active, but if them other three are in that negative,
Mm-hmm.
you just all of it, it's just a negative experience.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
I would say I probably was not um I just wasn't in a zone to um receive
Mm-hmm.
good relationships. In fact, I attracted quite the opposite. Just like this chapter was talking about.
Mm-hmm.
My partners, the men I was with during the time I was, trying to ascend
Mm-hmm.
career wise, they were horrible.
Mm-hmm.
Horrible. I mean, and I think that was something where I think in which one was that? I think that was a seated hawk where it's just like seeing, you know, perhaps subconsciously seeing myself as just, having that superiority. And it's funny because I'm like trying to be conscious about being emasculating, but subconsciously it's like, yeah, well, I'm picking some dude. I'm choosing to be with a dude that can't tell me nothing. You know what I mean? Because I'm doing this, and that, and he's just there.
Mm-hmm.
Uh,
Yeah, I'm
Not
just
proud of that, but
and yeah, me neither. But I am look sage optimistic, and so it was just a part of my growth. I was talking to my sister about this guy I met in college. I used to work in college admissions, and so he came in. The first red flag for me was he had on this fishnet shirt. Can you imagine?
abort.
Listen, he had on this fishnet shirt, and he was just so adamant about taking me out. And I'm like, why does your shirt have holes in it? And it wasn't, you know, I wasn't intentionally thinking about that it was a control thing. I just couldn't I couldn't imagine.
Mhm.
But
Mhm.
he ended up being like the best guy ever. Like
Wow.
at the time I had just moved in with my sister. I was moving from Virginia. I was in Job Corps up there, and so when I came back home, my sister had an apartment, and so we shared that apartment together. But I didn't have a bed, and he came over and he saw that I didn't have a bed and brought a bed. It was
Wow.
yeah, and so just being the best guy ever, he really looked out for me and my sister. But I think back on what if I would have rejected him fully and wholly,
Mm.
just because of what he chose to put onto his temple. It's just that wouldn't have been fair. But
Mhm.
overall, this same dude, I was not ready to commit on the level that he was. He came
Mhm.
from a two-parent home, and he was all gun ho about the commitment and just how men share their vulnerability through their resources. And so what was his was mine. And at that
Wow.
time, he was still staying with his parents or whatever, but I just wasn't mature enough. Like that wasn't what I was trying to do. I was a little caught up still on the fact that you own a fishnet shirt. It's like, I'm from the hood, so you can't be in the hood with no fishnet shirt unless you from the islands. Okay? It was just some of those things. But now as a mature adult, and I hope that he found the happiness that he was looking for because he was definitely looking. But just one of those good men that, as the book would say, we pass over or we gave up or
Yeah.
and so it does make you think because we put all these high standards on what men should have. We was having this conversation last night. They have to have a good job, they have to be tall, they have to be this, they have to be that, just all these false expectations that have nothing to do with building and actually even being in balance.
Yeah.
These aren't things that you're saying, okay, well, if he's emotionally balanced or if he's financially balanced, it's just like these artificial standards. And then we're living in a world where we see a majority of um people now promoting single life and no
Mhm.
kids. That's the new trend or whatever. And so it just makes you think, like he said, the culture shuts down the female's natural instinct, which is to go into her, whether it be treasure chest or moon in a balanced state, they do shut it down. And
Mhm.
so everybody, like I said, always going to fight or flight mode, and then we live our lives there. Like that's the normal. So
Yeah. Yeah, and we talked, the other part that really stood out was the business aspect. So all of these things like getting nails done,
mm-hmm,
hair done, buying clothing, and the things that we like to call self-care,
mm-hmm,
you know, it got me thinking about, like, is it really self-care, or am I doing this for myself, and it was really interesting. Or am I doing it for other people? Am I doing this for kind of like this external? And they tied it to he tied it to a sexual. There was a sexual aspect to that where it was just like, yeah, all of the um like use of these products, it's like becoming overly sexualized, right?
Mhm.
Something along those lines where it was just like, wow. Yeah, because if you had to think about one of the main reasons why going and getting your hair done and getting and looking a certain way is to be sexually appeasing in some type of way. It's like, yeah, you can do those things. That's great, but it really doesn't have anything to do with the internal. Kind of like with God, like God is within. So we already have all of the components that we need to attract our mates or manifest something for ourselves. We have all of the abundance that we need. It's just a matter of recognizing it all and seeing it within. Otherwise, you're just over consuming, right? Like you
Mhm.
don't even, the abundance that you have is not even enough. You can't even recognize that you have it. And that's why I always talk about exercising gratitude with abundance so that you
Mhm.
are acknowledging the fact that, yes, I am abundant. I
Mhm.
have all of what I desire and need.
Mhm.
Because if you can't recognize that, you just constantly consuming.
Right, right.
Yeah.
I took a moment yesterday um to do exactly what you just talked about. I realized I was it was a long day. I didn't leave the house thinking it was gonna be an all day event. And so at the end of the day, instead of my usual I'm just burnt out and I took
Mm.
a moment to say out loud, I am grateful and thankful, for the day. It was a beautiful day. And also, I'm grateful to be brought back to my place of residence safely because sometimes we do get up into it's just a constant state of not being grateful. And then you are attracting that because when we were talking about the auric field, is saying that that can be seen in your human auric
Yeah.
field. So whatever you putting out there, and then when you were reading, and I don't know if you were reading, I read when it said the female's inability to be satisfied.
Yeah.
That do you know how many people or women are unable to have an orgasm?
What?
And so it's just like the constant building and molding of not a manifest, like you said, the scarcity mode just can never be pleased.
Yeah.
And so it's just deep. I love it. This is very deep. Is there anything else that stood out to you?
Girl, yes. I mean, nothing I'm able to put into words now, but
Mm-hmm.
I go over this several times.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but it always comes down to money, power, and religion,
Mm-hmm.
right? And I think that the what's clear from this chapter is that these are three components that since the beginning of time have been used to shut down our feminine faculties
Mm-hmm.
or redirect them in some kind of way.
And Teresa, you said that some men have their own agenda when it comes to choosing a mate. So what a woman does to improve herself doesn't make a difference to him. It makes me think about, I think it was the previous chapter when it was saying that still goes back to the mindset of I think it's the moon archetype. She's in when it's in balance, you give without even thinking about what the other is or the outside is doing. And so in that you create just a constant replenishing, like
Mm-hmm.
you're constant replenished. And so in that, I just I think that when a male sees that, eventually it'll change his I guess magnetism. Is that what we was talking about? Because the male and female, whatever you're putting out, that energy comes back to you. And if it's we're talking about the male, eventually he'll ascend as well. I know me personally, me and my husband, I've always been, Sasha teacher. We're always learning. We're always changing. When we met, we were listening to the Hebrew doctrine and listening to the Hebrew brothers. The brothers they be out there on the corner. Yeah, they in
Mm.
full costume putting on a show. Okay. And so that still was a religious aspect coming out of the church. And so fast forward 8 years, 9 more years, now realizing the shadow work has to be done. And so we're at different rates. But eventually he'll come with some piece of information that lets me know that the ascension is still happening, but we're on two different paths or journeys. And so it doesn't necessarily have to affect him directly, like me changing myself, but it does affect him directly.
Yeah.
Eventually he gets there. It's just at his own pace. And we have to keep that in mind because we do get on these journeys and be trying to drag everybody along, kicking it. We want every I know. That was my experience. I'm gonna send them every video. I want you to see the videos I'm watching
Right.
so we can talk about it.
Right. Right.
So, I mean, but yeah, that's a good point. Some men never get there. That is a reality as well.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, y'all. So that was chapter 4. That was chapter 4. Chapter 4 was again money, power, and religion. The herd mentality. And so the next chapter we're gonna be getting into is awakening the master feminine, the toxic womb syndrome.
Mm.
And I know this is gonna probably bring tears to my eyes just
Mm.
because I did struggle with carrying a baby full time when I was younger. And I can't honestly say it wasn't until I moved that I was in a place of mental clarity to be able to conceive, but still struggling with believing that I attracted that energy to me and that it was gonna stabilize.
Mm.
So in my mind, it still wasn't there, but I'm just assuming this is gonna speak on the womb and maybe yeah, the physical reproductive system. And so we're gonna get into that next week. I want to thank everybody who's been supporting us and the feedback and coming in and dropping your words into the chat. We appreciate all that. Just
Mm-hmm.
allowing us to spend time with you on these Sundays and breaking this book down, trying to bring about change. And Jennifer, you want to go ahead and plug your business and your platform?
Yes, yes. I do want, if anyone of you are interested in joining the book club, it is open. All of the information is in our bios. You can follow me on Instagram at The Abundant Sister, SISTAR. Follow my business page, Soul Sister Beauty, soulsisterbeauty.com. Again, that's SISTAR. And to echo what Nina was saying, just thank you and much, much gratitude for all of you who are here and just growing with us. We love hearing your feedback. So looking forward to being with y'all next week.
The sound broke up a little, but
Oh, okay.
it looks
Y'all,
like
did you hear
okay.
anything?
It sounds like a computer, and then the it's lagging a little. Okay, you're back.
I'm back.
Okay, so we did hear a majority. It was just the last couple of sentences.
Yeah,
Okay,
just saying
so
thank you.
thank you.
Thank
But
you.
yeah, I'm Styles by Nina. You can follow me on Instagram, and also I did drop my link tree in the chat. If you all are trying to get in contact with me, I am still providing the sovereignty class. I don't talk about it much because I am transferring it from one platform to the next, but it is still available. It'll be on the platform that it was originally on until April. It's not a long class, so you all still do have time. I want to remind everybody that it is important that you correct your status. We all know that we are home, and how you operate in a corporation is making sure that your status is correct so that you can have your sovereignty, be able to move around and be free, which is the
Mm-hmm.
most highest design. Also, if you all are interested in learning how to trade, I am still taking on mentees. I have 10 slots available for this new season coming up in spring. The link is in my link tree. I am still trading. I have an interview coming up on Monday. I'm gonna drop for you all. I have scheduled to meet with the Forex Trade her. And I'm so nervous. She is one of the greats when it comes to Forex. And so I'm gonna share my one-on-one with you on this platform. I'll upload the video later. Um, I will upload the video tomorrow after 2 p.m. And so y'all know Pharaoh just ain't gonna let me be great. He gonna come in here and have to tell me something eventually. Um, but yeah, my link tree, everything is there. I am transforming my platforms. I do want my business to elevate, so I am moving some stuff around. If you all are on IG, you've probably noticed already, I am still bringing truth. It'll just be more so in the form of YouTube videos because, Instagram is not for those that have, no offense, it's more a business platform, not those you don't want to be posting a whole bunch of information because of the attention span.
Mm-hmm.
These platforms, we really have to use them properly. I had shifted all of my truth from YouTube to over there, and we're just bringing it on back home. So I appreciate all of you that are still there and everybody that subscribed. Don't forget to subscribe to my sis channel. Go over there right now. Don't pause. Subscribe to her channel. Show her some love. And everybody, every 690 something people, go over and subscribe, show us some love. We're trying to get monetized. Share our
Mm-hmm.
video, like, go back through the videos, let them play even if you ain't listening. This is how you support without us asking for donations. We ain't doing that here with you all, so just let's exchange the energy properly.
Thank you
So
for that.
yeah. We I see it, and we could be putting a link up here to my this side PayPal. That's not what we're doing.
Mm-hmm.
We don't mind
Mm-hmm.
giving a couple of hours out of time to y'all every Sunday, and so just show us some love back. Make sure you subscribe, like, comment under the videos. That helps our videos come up in the algorithms. This is important. If we are about the change that we say that we want to see, then we really have to make sure that we get in balance with the feminine and the masculine. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, y'all. Is there anything else you have coming up that you want us to support you on?
No,
Okay.
no, I don't. Thank you.
Okay.
Oh, you know what? I do. And there is more to follow, but I have a podcast, my cousin and I, when we think of us, you can follow us on Instagram there. So spring equinox, we will be coming back with our second season.
I'm
Some
excited.
more to follow on that. I'll plug that. Thank you.
Yeah. Y'all don't forget to subscribe to Sis's podcast. Very, very good conversations. And also Cloud9. I'm gonna try to be more consistent, but y'all know gardening season is coming up, and so that's my thing. I'll try to get Cloud9 podcast back pumping, but gardening is my thing. I'm so excited about growing season. Shout out to all my gardeners.
Hey.
If you are interested in gardening with me and learning how to create the proper soil, um, the environment that you want the healthiest food growing and food design just for you, go ahead and check my link tree out. The link will be there for my gardening class. We are starting up March the 20th. And so, March the 20th, we will meet you over on Patreon, and we will also be co creating in the currency sea cove. We're gonna go the currency cove. We're gonna go over there. That is also where we are attending astrology and high priestess classes. I'm gonna be teaching on that platform as well. I'm excited. I just want y'all to start getting your own food growing. This is very important. We have to get back to connecting with ancestors the way our ancestors did. They tilled the land. They were hunter gatherers. And so we're reading the hunter gatherer in this book. It came all
Mm-hmm. Getting
from
back to that natural way, right?
yes,
Mm-hmm.
yes. I love it. I used to say that
Yes.
in all my videos. We're hunter gatherers. And so this book helped me to see the full definition of what that is supposed to look like. And as
Mm-hmm.
women, we produce. I love going out there and being able to harvest what I've grown and bring it in and nourish my family with it. It's nothing like that feeling. And Jennifer is a gardener too. Do you want
Yay.
to share your gardening co-op?
Well, we're just kind of getting up and started. Nothing really to share at this point, but I definitely will when the time comes for sure.
Okay, okay. And even us
Yeah.
sharing his pictures, y'all will be seeing my harvest photos now. YouTube is allowing us to add photos, and
Yes.
so we're gonna pull y'all in just to see how that fruit looks when you've grown it, the energy and the love that's being put into it. So yeah, y'all, we're gonna go on and get out of here. We're gonna go on and get out of here. I am Styles by Nina.
Yes. Jenny Marie, the abundant sister. Thank y'all. Peace, prosperity, and abundance. Till
Peace
next
and
time.
power. Peace and power, y'all, and we're out of here.
Peace.